Hey, precious friends. This is Fran Thomas. I'm one of the co-hosts for Rambling Through Everyday Life with Fran and Angela. This is episode 124. And for whatever reason, you guys, we were feeling our funny selves in the first part of this show. I always go back and listen to the beginning to remember, oh yeah, that's what we talked about. And I found myself laughing at ourselves as I listened to my own conversation with Angela. So I don't know, maybe you'll find some fun, light humor in our discussion. And then, of course, we swing it to the other side and start talking about the Lord. And I'm always so thankful for these conversations. And we're thankful for you. Thank you for listening to this week's show. We hope you enjoy it and have yourself a fantastic day. Welcome, everyone, to Rambling Through Everyday Life.
Are we really on?
We're on. We're recording. That was part of the recording. I'm leaving it.
Did you get salt and pepper?
No. But would you like to sing it for us, Angela?
No. Okay, so what the listeners might need to know for context is when we do the mic check, we kind of get ridiculous for a minute. Like we're in a recording studio.
You want to sing a song? Angela? Salt and pepper? Salt and pepper. Pepper. Salt and pepper here. No.
I'm good. I think it's out of my system. We'll spare the listeners. Hey, Fran.
Hi, Angela. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is, I don't know. I'm not going to call it wild rambling, but we are going to talk about some funny stuff here in the beginning. I don't know if you guys work with people or have people in your life that you just like randomly start talking about all kinds of stuff. Like you're like working and then you're like, hey, what do you think about whatever? And you're like, I don't even know where this is coming from in my brain.
A brain break.
Because I got to get some things out. My brain, like everybody else's brain, just lives with all this stuff floating around in it in one space. And it's not like singular thoughts. Like I just feel like there's 9,000 things happening at one time in my brain. Everything from some things that we're going to talk about. Angela, how do you feel about leftovers? And then at the same time in my brain is what I read in scripture this morning, all happening at once.
Well, we've got to get it out.
We got to get it out, people.
And when you say leftovers, I'm thinking everything from food to clothes to, there's all kinds of leftovers.
This is food.
Well, we're going to talk about all of it.
We're going to talk about it right now,
I'm going to overthink this and overanalyze it and come up with other ways to make it apply. Okay, Fran, how do you feel about leftovers?
Okay, I need to tell you all, they don't listen to the show, so it's totally fun and fine for me to say this, but I work with a guy named Trenton Holloway. Shout out to Becca and Trenton Holloway.
Aren't they great?
Yeah, they are. Becca is over our EDGE program here at Union University, and I work with Trenton. And Trenton is one of the literal funniest human beings I've ever met. I wish that he was sitting right here, a part of this discussion. I don't even know how it came up, but we have this obsession with the baked goods that are being served in Barefoots and Madero every day. So this this is the coffee shop on campus. And so it could be one of my all-time favorites is the pumpkin chocolate chip muffin.
What?
And I'm not a like pumpkin in my food kind of girl, but this muffin is absolutely to die for. I love it so much. Well, I promise this as a point, y'all. A few weeks ago, they also have scones, okay? And there's 3 variety of scones. This really does have something to do with leftovers. So I can say this because Karis, who's over Barefoots, she and I laughed about it. It was the worst scone I've ever had in my entire life. It was terrible. It was like eating Play-Doh. It was absolutely awful. That turned into Trenton talking about his strong affection for the chocolate chip scone. Now, these are items that are not available every day, so you kind of have to stalk. You kind of have to, like, walk over, see what they're having if they don't post it online. And the way Trenton comes in and out of the office, I know if he's happy because he's got the scone or he's just got his head down. He's a little Eeyore in his the manner of it, the way he's walking, like there's no chocolate chip scone today.
So this makes or breaks the whole
it's just
mood.
Yeah, and it's just this obsession that we have with these bakery items in the coffee shop. Well, then somehow that turned into like Trenton. Oh, I know what it was. If you don't finish the whole scone, which he will, okay, he will. Just like I'm going to finish that whole muffin. In theory, it'd be like, well, I'll have half of it now and then I'll take half of it home for later. And Trenton was like, oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. We eat the whole thing. And that's what turned into, how do you feel about leftovers? And I said, Trenton, I don't know how you feel about leftovers, but I'm not leftovering anything. It could be the most expensive meal, the best meal, whatever. I will take it home just out of courtesy because I feel bad that I didn't eat it all, but I just can't eat everything that's on my plate. So I feel bad. I make the server go put it in the container, and then I take it home and know good and well I'm not doing anything with it. And so I don't care what it is, even pizza. I'm not going to heat it up, Angela. I'm not doing it.
Well, I have lower standards.
Okay.
You know, something I learned about pizza, did you know you can reheat it in a skillet so the crust is not soggy?
Well, okay. Didn't know that. Trenton said, I so wish he was here. You know what? We're going to have Becca Holloway on maybe one day. She'd be fun to have on. I'll make it they both have to be in the room because I need the people to hear how funny he is. But Trenton said, do you know that you can put pizza on a plate in a microwave with an ice cube next to it?
What?
And I'm like, Trenton, I ain't doing that either.
Why do you put an ice cube?
I think to keep it from drying out.
Well, it usually comes out soggy.
I don't know.
That's why I like it in the skillet.
Okay. Well, we're going to go with the skillet if that's what I was going to do, but I'm not doing it.
Maybe it's because I'm an achiever. I don't know. I like to achieve the best possible use of something.
Are you going to eat the things left over?
Well, this is where it goes off the rails. In theory, I will. In reality, it usually comes down to, do I really want to dump this out and scrub this dish with the moldy science project it's become in the back of the refrigerator, or do I just throw it all away and buy new Tupperware? It's bad.
I might do spaghetti.
Yeah, that's good leftover.
It is. It's not as good. But then I might do chili, or definitely a soup. Chili I'm a little weird with because there's ground beef in there, and I think that something's happened to the ground beef while it sat in the refrigerator for a whole 24 hours. So I don't know. It's just like milk. This isn't leftovers, but no, listen, if you do this, I think it's great. I'm not buying milk from Walgreens or a gas station or anything like that. I think that it's creepy milk at that point.
You have trust issues.
I do, apparently.
With gas station
clearly,
milk.
That's a whole nother episode. But clearly, Angela knows that is very real. Okay, so
Cole Snyder would eat taco soup in July when it's 500 degrees outside. He is a taco soup person.
No.
So I try to, because we're on the go so much when I do cook, I think, well, I need to stockpile things. And then I forget the fact that we're going to be gone for the next 42 nights. So, but I will, our cats and dogs are well fed on leftovers. They like leftovers.
Yeah, they don't care.
They benefit from all this.
Anyway, well, listen, I'll just say, like, this will transition us into the next funny thing. Is that I can see you. Y'all, this is Angela, I promise. She's made the taco soup, okay? Now,
in 10-gallon increments.
And sister believes, you know what? We're going to eat this. She's going to put it in her car.
Where everything goes to die. When I had this Suburban, you could have survived an apocalypse in the floorboard of my vehicle. I know there's some mamas listening that can relate to this.
Oh, man, I'm sweating. It's funny because I can just see you like whipping out the crock pot and saying, here, Cole, eat this taco soup.
From 5 weeks ago.
Okay, but I'm the polar opposite of you in this regard. Like my car, you ain't finding a French fry in there.
You know those, we used to have them like at ladies' events at church. They were like, everybody pull out your purse. Who's got a banana? Who's got and be like, me. I've got all of it.
Seriously.
I would win every time.
Seriously, if things get a little sketchy, like
Find me.
Yeah, if the government is always in question, like the state of the government. If I feel like the world is like literally coming to an end, me and you are getting in your car. The heck with everybody else.
Hey, I did fine in the pandemic. I was like, I'm good. I got
And we're going to go to the beach.
Yeah.
And we've got your car. We've got goods in your car.
You know who I learned from?
I have no idea.
Allison Butler has the ultimate snack box. It's called a snackle box.
Oh, I've heard you talk about this.
Listen, she's ready.
Like,
she's ready for anything.
Is it a tackle box? Because it sounds like it should be snackle.
Kind of, but better. She's the one that on your birthday, it's like, here's the 12 favorite candies that you forgot you loved the most. I mean, she just knows how to take care of somebody. But yeah, the snackle box.
I know.
We left a football game and Cole was hungry and we were out of town and we served them pizza, but he had not gotten enough pizza. And I said, I need to be prepared with more snacks. So I have to restock the snackle box situation.
Gotcha.
In my own car. But speaking of pizza, so I've talked to y'all a little bit about these football meals that I've embraced because remember I have the gift of hospitality. Just don't come into my house and expect me to cook the food, but I will create, the opportunity for them to eat.
Yes.
So the post-game pizza, when you're in these little remote towns and everything's closed at, 10 o'clock, it's so much fun, but I don't want to miss the ball game.
Right.
So then I decided, I'll just go at halftime. Now, I don't know if that counts as leftovers in Fran's mind.
No, it doesn't.
When pizza's an hour old.
No.
Okay, good.
Still good.
Still good. We're still meeting health safety regulations.
As far as we know.
But then I thought, okay, this is fine right now, but when it's 50 degrees outside, these boys will have cold pizza. My husband said they would not care.
No, they don't care.
But I decided they need piping hot pizza because they just do. So did you know that you can go on Amazon? You can go on Amazon for anything. I went on Amazon on a hope and a prayer.
I'm looking it up right now while you're talking about it because I need to see this for myself.
I'm the proud new owner of something I never thought I would purchase. I'm now the owner of 3 extra large, fully insulated pizza delivery bags.
Okay, hold up, y'all. I'm looking. Insulated pizza. I'm looking. Oh, here it is. Insulated pizza delivery bag. What color? Angela, there's a variety to choose from.
Well, I just had the choice of red and black.
Okay, I see black. I see red. And you know what? It's not expensive.
No, I feel so fancy. I'm thinking I'm a freshman mom. We need these for 4 years. So I can now keep 18 pizzas for the Trinity football team piping hot, just like.
Okay, I see something for $31, $25, and $20. Do you remember how much you paid? Maybe the $25 one? Because there's a lot of pizza boxes. But, here's one that comes in a variety of colors. It's a bestseller, Angela. Red, black, silver is what I, for some reason, pictured in my brain.
Well, I wish I had seen that.
And blue. But because I don't know why, I pictured like the silver. Why silver? I have no idea.
I don't know, Fran, but we can take it on the road. If we decide we need to deliver some food, we could go work for Uber Eats now because I have the bags.
Angela, in a world that neither one of us have time for, I think that if you and I could be a delivery driver for a day and just document the whole thing,
it would be hysterical.
I would absolutely love that. That'd be so fun.
I have no sense of direction.
Yeah, hey, I'll help you out there. I'm good there.
I love it when I get so reliant on the GPS and it says you've arrived and you're like, I'm nowhere. I'm in the middle of a field. Like, what is happening?
That's terrifying when it tells you that you're there and you're like, you literally are like, no, I'm not.
I'm not there.
That's not the address. This is not the right place. I know this isn't correct.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Good times, everybody.
It's a thing. Well, I told you we always try to take a selfie when we're together recording because we're bad about having enough pictures. And I told you I feel like I have 5-day dirty hair. Like it's on day whatever. I don't know. How do you feel about dry shampoo? Are you an everyday hair washer?
No, I'm not an everyday hair washer.
I used to be.
Yeah, I'm not. I never have. Like this hair that you're looking at right now. we're recording on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. This is Sunday. I washed it Sunday night.
It looks great.
So I'll get another day out of it. So I don't really have to use dry shampoo a lot.
You're lucky.
But I know people have very strong feelings about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I can't remember who told me this. Oh, I do know. It was a therapist who studies the brain. So this might actually be accurate information. The aerosol dry shampoo has been linked to types of cancer, but there is a powdered version. So I'm trying that out.
Okay.
This is something we need to ask Susie. This is a Susie said so.
Yeah, this is a Susie said so. When she comes back for our winter edition, Susie, we can talk about this.
If you're listening, we need a dry shampoo analysis, please.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about the nail color that you have switched to? I'm going on Saturday. Shout out Chesney. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting that ox blood.
And then this is actually like black currant cherry or black cherry currant.
It looks the same.
I switched it up. They all look the same. They're all very similar. It's just a brownish.
Yeah.
Kind of looks purple in some light.
It's got like a purple undertone.
Mm-hmm, great fall color. I'm trying to think of another funny, how do you feel?
Can I just say something really quick? Because I'm multitasking right now.
Uh-oh.
And a child asked me for some money. When I don't know how you feel about this. Do you Venmo Kaylee money?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do all of that in a private transaction.
Yes.
I do not want that on the Venmo feed.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, Dylan Thomas. I just put that public because I'm in the middle of recording a podcast.
Oh, no, Dylan.
It's just lunch money. Yeah. But I'm like, sorry, everyone.
It is weird when you're on Venmo and you see other people's transactions and you think, nobody needs to know this information.
I know, but I do kind of like right now while you're talking, keep talking because I'm scrolling through to see what people have sent money for. We've got dresses and purses and YouTube TV and apparently pizza. Ghost is a transaction out there.
Okay.
Food, all the things. But anyway, I'm so sorry, Dylan. Okay, what were you talking about again?
If you're on Venmo and you're not set to private, we're reading what you're sending.
Put it on private. Mm-hmm. Okay, so sorry about that.
How do you feel about candy corn? This can be very controversial this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Not a fan.
Really? Fran.
What is it? I don't know.
It's very sweet.
I feel like it's isn't all food fake, but I feel like it's just, what is it? What is it?
Hydrogenated, sugary, something terrible. But it tastes so good. I love the pumpkins.
I don't like any of it.
You know what makes it better?
Dip it in sugar, coffee, what?
You mix it with peanuts.
I could see. I would do that to be kind if I was at somebody's house, but it's not mine. I don't listen. All day long. I'll take that fun size Snicker, that fun size candy bar, that fun size this. I'm a chocolate person, not a sugary sweet person.
So for trick or treat, it was chocolate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Every time.
You know those little peanut butter taffies that nobody likes?
No, I don't want that either.
The orange and the black.
Yeah.
I've only met one person my whole entire life who actively was like, please give me those.
Again, what is it?
Well, do you know what I found out? She's the youngest of 7 children.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And she said they stole all the good candy from my bag and they gave me those in its place. And I just learned to love them.
Do you like Three Musketeers?
I like everything.
I think that's weird too. Like, here's a funny thing. I've got some weird word aversions.
Yes, you do.
I think nougat isn't that a part of nougat?
Nougat.
What?
It's one of those words that the more you say it, you're like, am I still saying this correctly?
Is it nugget? No. Nougat?
A nugget of nougat.
What exactly is nougat?
I don't know.
That's not a word, y'all.
It's a creation.
Therefore, I'm not a fan of nougat.
Well, there you go.
There you go, everybody.
Here's one more, because this actually happened, and we talked about this for a minute. When you have those people in your life that are sandpaper people.
I can come up with 12 right now.
Everybody think in your mind about the sandpaper people that just grind on your nerves. I know the Lord has put these people. I'm not perfect. Newsflash.
Well, Angela, you're pretty close.
Newsflash. I'm not perfect. And I'm not saying that I'm right and they're wrong, but there are people that
yes, we are.
I just want to pinch their little heads off sometimes and say, just stop talking. Just stop talking. You're driving me crazy. And I know the Lord, I call them sandpaper people. I can't remember who to attribute that to, but they help with our rough edges. They are the sandpaper that, part of the sanctification that's ongoing. Mm-hmm. But I said to you earlier, I wish we could just yell at them, put them in timeout, tell them to just stop talking.
Pinch their little necks.
And yes, we came up with a multitude of ways that we wish we could deal with these people. But then I was outside on my walk and I saw the cats and I said, what if we could take a spray bottle, like I spray the cats when they're being stupid, and just spray people in the face with water when they get on your nerves? Can you imagine me walking in a courtroom with a spray bottle?
You know that GIF where it's the girl, y'all can't see me, but she waves that thing and she's got that look on her face, and I'm just like, I know that there are people that challenge us, yes, and it reveals all manner of ugliness in our heart, which is really just like, I'm right and you're wrong. Like, that's always kind of what it comes down to, right?
It's pride. But sometimes they're just terrible.
Well, and sometimes like it's legit. Like, it's not like I'm just irritated by you. Like, you really do know. You really do know, like, no, you're out of line. You're wrong. You really are an idiot.
They're just not aware.
And so trying to figure out how to like handle that. Like, we were talking about a situation today on Boxer, and I used to have a magnet that said this, and then it fell and it broke, and I'm so super sad. But it was a magnet because there was a person in my life a long time ago. We don't run in the same circles anymore, so I don't see her nearly as much. But she gave me a magnet because we were notorious for, let's just keep beating the dead horse. Like, let's just beat it to death. And it said something like that on the magnet, and I just smiled every time. That's kind of what we did a little bit this morning. It was a little like serious, but some part therapy, but also funny. And it was like, sometimes I just need to beat this horse to death. And then I feel better.
We are verbal processors.
We are. Shocking, I know, everyone.
We have to get it out in our words.
But then also, if I could carry around a little pocket-sized water bottle.
Or a Nerf gun.
And a Nerf gun or a sword.
Oh, listen to you getting all vicious. Well, on campus here, they had water wars.
The athletes did.
And I don't know the whole structure. I just know that I was nervous. I had secondhand.
You have a target.
Anxiety. Yes. And I'm not involved in this. But because I was on campus for Bible study surrounded by people in an active war.
Yeah. A water war.
They're trying to sneak up on you and shoot you or throw water from a bottle. And I was like, y'all.
Listen, well, first of all, I'm not running at that pace. I mean, these people are flying across campus.
They're hiding behind the bushes.
They're out to win. They're after their target. So I kind of feel like, wouldn't that be fun on an adult level?
We need more fun. We need more fun and more play in our lives. I do want to talk for a minute.
We're going to talk about Jesus now.
We're going to talk about Jesus. Okay. We're also going to mention last week's episode with Jen Wilson.
Oh, y'all.
Young Lives. Y'all, please keep reaching out. Keep reaching out to her, to us, get involved.
And truly, if you are somebody that is just, you feel like all I can give is even just a few dollars or prayer, please do not think that that's a less than type of giving or a less than way to support Young Lives. Like, everything, the Lord uses everything. And so even if it's just, you and a few of your friends, and you're like, we want to be the ones that provide dinner that night, and y'all just all chip in and it's not very much, then do that. But then again, if you can come alongside in a more physical, relational type way with these girls, then that would be welcome too, of course.
It's life-changing.
It is, and it's so precious. I love it so much. So thankful for her.
That picture of her with one of their girls who was salutatorian.
Yes.
Just looked in her precious face and thought, they have come alongside her to help her succeed.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
It is beautiful.
God has a plan and a purpose over every single life.
Absolutely. Even the sandpaper lives.
Even the sandpaper people. I also want to mention because it's coming up. Monday, November the 6th.
Okay. Yes.
On our campus is the FCA Spirit Night dinner with Sarah Roberts, who is the chaplain for the Oklahoma softball team. We've talked about it before on the podcast, but they're the ones that keep winning the World Series and keep talking about Jesus over and over and over again. And Dr. Dub mentioned to us, hey, y'all should connect with them. Long story short, here we are.
Here we are.
Prayer and the way God just works things out. So if you are listening, she is coming to speak at this dinner. We still have tables available. It's going to be fabulous. Yeah. If you have a heart for students, for athletes, for sports, for if you have an athlete that, you know, girls and boys.
Absolutely.
But especially if it's a middle school or a high school girl that's playing a sport, any age, I cannot wait to hear from her.
Yeah. And just grab your people. Like if you can't, if like being the sole purchaser of a table, just say, hey, here's, you know, get your people together on your athletic team. It's really going to be, I think she's going to speak into it for everybody. But if you've got an athlete of any age, get with your buddies, get a table, come. You are going to be so blessed by her.
I'm so excited for it. Tables are $500 for a table of 8, but it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I've already sold a lot of them. I'm excited to see who all's in that room.
Love, love, love.
Okay. I am listening to a podcast right now that I love.
Okay.
That I want to mention. Actually, 2 of them. One of them we've talked about.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
The Union podcast.
Yeah. Eva Grace, Bedell.
Eva Grace was phenomenal.
Again, we're not going to talk about the episode because I'm going to make you go listen to it. But if you have a high school student, if you are a parent, if you're a college student, this isn't about Union. It's Eva's story that happened to take place here at Union and just how beautiful a work the Lord did in her life. And she's very open about her struggles with faith. She's very open about the choices, you know, the poor choices that she made her freshman year. And just, you know, she was just not interested in any of this. And the Lord did a really big work in her life. So, yeah, let's talk about that. You can find it on all the platforms.
He's so patient with us.
Praise the Lord.
Right? Okay, there's another one. I listened to that episode yesterday, and then today I listened to another one that we love that we haven't talked about in a while with Preston and Jackie Hill Perry.
Oh, yeah. I always forget to listen to them, Angela.
It's called With the Perrys, and there is a 2-part series that I just listened to this morning on how to give the gospel.
How to give the gospel.
If you are aware of the fact that, hey, I'm a believer in Jesus, I need to share Jesus with the people around me, which is all of us. Yeah. We're all here to make disciples. But if that sounds terrifying to you, Preston Perry, they both are just tremendous evangelists.
Angela, let me just interrupt you for a second and say we need to ask our FCA leadership group to listen to that. They would love the Perrys.
That's awesome.
Because we're talking about that very thing, is just getting comfortable talking about the gospel.
Well, I don't know that we've talked on here about the FCA leadership group.
Okay,
I want to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, they are real. They are authentic. They are easy to listen to. They are entertaining. I just love them.
And they're just straightforward.
Yes.
Without talking all Christianese sometimes and using big theological or words that you're just like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We need to.
We'll link to that.
Yeah, for sure, y'all. It's the podcast, not the YouTube. Well, it's probably both for them. I think they do both.
Probably. I listen to it on the podcast app. So.
On the podcast.
The podcast. Yep. Okay. So when you started, you've talked several times about the transition the Lord brought you through the past year. You've changed to a different department here in your career. And we knew you felt this coming on before the change actually was initiated.
Yeah.
The Lord always stirs something up.
Yeah.
But you didn't know what.
Right.
And then it was like, okay, well now I'm going in a little bit different direction and I have a little more margin, and where am I serving and what does this look like? And this whole time I'm thinking, Lord, please figure out a way to bring Fran into FCA because I love it so much.
Yeah.
So don't think I wasn't praying that selfish prayer. And then lo and behold, it's all coming together. Sydney Whitaker on the volleyball team and Marie, they went last year to the FCA weekend retreat, came back and said, why do we not have FCA on our campus for all the athletes?
Yeah.
And I love it when the Lord uses athletes to make it happen for the athletes. It shouldn't be us beating the drum for them all the time.
So proud of both of them, all of them, everybody.
All of them. So it's in motion.
Yeah.
Which she immediately started talking to people from all the teams. Every team was interested. Every team is involved. But then we needed some structure because you get these people together and then they're looking around going, okay, how do we do this? Thank you, Lord, for Fran Thomas and all the ways you love to lead and are capable of just teaching them how to lead.
Yeah.
So we have this leadership team.
Yeah.
And you have been able to meet with them to prepare them, and we're about to launch the club. But just I know there's people listening that have an idea or have a dream or have a ministry, like with Jen, with Young Lives, where the Lord gives you that vision and you're like, okay, now what do I do? How do I take the next step? And sometimes it's days, weeks, months, years. But as the steps continue to come into focus of here's where I go next. Like practically, how is that happening on this campus? We go from athletes who want to have FCA. They know they need to meet somewhat regularly and have a huddle. What happens next?
Yeah.
How has this evolved?
Well, let's just go back to the fact that, Union is a Christian school. And there's just always an assumption that, you think about like where our own kids went to school, just a private Christian school growing up. And then my kids and Kaylee too, they're in private Christian colleges. And you think that everybody there knows the Lord and is walking with the Lord. And that's not the case. And so in the athletic world, a lot of times athletes are coming to a university for the sport. And maybe I don't know. I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm just making some probably decent guesses based on my 10 years here, as well as having 2 kids that were a part of the athletic world here at Union. But so you've got people coming in to play a sport. That's why they're here, and they're lucky enough that they get to continue to do what they're good at while also getting an education. And so they may not be super interested in Jesus. They may just not. We all understand that when you go back to your own life when you were not walking with the Lord, you're just like, I don't really know why I need the Lord. So they're just kind of doing their thing. And then you might make an assumption that, well, I'm surprised FCA, I would have thought they would have already been on campus because we are a Christian institution. And so just the fact that there is this desire, thank you, Sydney Whitaker, thank you, Dr. Dubb, thank you, Mark Campbell, and so many others. There's a desire for something more, something deeper. And Sydney being brave and bold and even not sure what she was doing, said, I want to bring our athletes together under the umbrella of Jesus Christ. Now, me even saying that seems a little strange because you would think that was automatically already happening. But if you've ever been a part of a team, teams can be just that. They can just be a team that is only focused on what they're supposed to be doing. So if you're looking at it in the athletic world, if the volleyball team or a baseball team, like they're so focused on that, the team itself, and then what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be practicing, perfecting their skills and working on their talents and meshing together as a group, while also going to class every day and doing all the other things. And so there's times where they're really healthy and strong. There's times when they're not. You've got teammates that are not walking with the Lord. You've got teammates that are trying to walk with the Lord. You've also got the age of 18 to 22 where everything is upside down and you're trying to figure out who you are and what you believe in a strange place, going to classes. When do I eat? When do I sleep? You throw in the athletic component to just being a student, it can just throw it all into a whole nother level of who are we and what are we doing again? And I think, too, there's an assumption made that because you're a part of athletics at an institution that, like, there's just this giant athletic family. But again, they're a part of a team. They're focusing on their team and what they're supposed to be doing. And so sometimes it just doesn't happen well.
I think that surprised me the most, that the people on each individual team had a desire to know people on other teams, but they didn't seem to know one another.
Well, and a lot of that is just time.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have seen, too, an athlete's schedule, when they're having practice at 6 and 7 a.m. in the morning, and then they go about their day, and then they have weights, and then they have dinner, and then they have homework and all these other responsibilities because of different things they're involved in. A lot of it can just come down to they don't have time to engage in a bigger athletic family. And so I'm really proud of Sydney taking the initiative, a very big initiative, to say, I want our athletic teams to really function well as an overall team, even as broken as we can be. Because let me just say, y'all, every team is broken. Every organization is broken. Every ministry is broken. Everything's broken because of humanity. And so her willing to take this on and to begin to create an environment and then an opportunity for them to grow as an overall athletic group, but then to throw Jesus into the mix and say, this is really, really important to me. And so to come alongside this group of leaders, and I may be wrong, but it's okay for what I'm about to say, but there's at least 1 to 2 student athletes represented from each sport here on campus. I think I'm right on that. And we've only met twice. But I said to Sydney early on, and just think about the groups that you're involved in, even if you're like, I'm not a part of a team. Well, you could have just talk about your family unit. You could be thinking about your coworkers and where you work, but whatever group you're a part of and that you're, doing life with in whatever capacity, you've got to evaluate, who are we and what are we doing and how do we hope to get there? And so I'm just happy to come alongside them and help them navigate that, because I told Sydney, I said, listen, if you put people on a leadership team, you've got to define very early on, who are we and why am I here and what are you expecting me to do? And we're just moving slowly through that process, because it's so much more than just showing up, kind of getting the inside scoop before the huddle or the Bible study group, before that starts. Like it's so much more than that. And we're just trying to figure that out together along the way.
I love it. And then the huddles are the actual groups, and that will meet every few weeks.
Mm-hmm. I don't have it pulled up exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
Even if you just said weekly or every 2 weeks, this is a group of all athletes coming together to learn more about Jesus and the gospel. And you want the unbelievers to come. Mm-hmm. You want those that are, maybe just not maybe walking away from their faith, but just kind of lazy, just apathetic to their faith, because maybe they're just tired, but they're looking to their teammates. And it starts right then and there. And we've just spent a few times talking about the importance of just how you're living your life, and are you pursuing the Lord? And if you're not, that's okay, but we need to start figuring out, again, who are we and what are we doing? How are we doing it? How are we going to get there? So it's fun. It's so fun. You and I both, we could talk about college students all day long.
Well, I love that they have you there to give them that structure, because I think without that big key ingredient, you're just showing up saying, okay, next month we're kicking this off. Right. And then, what's going on with everybody, and then pray and go home. And
that's right.
We've got to have some structure to anything that we do.
Well, we got to have some structure. And when you put students together, and adults too, for that matter, you put them in a room and you have gospel expectations that you have to be able to evaluate who's comfortable doing what. And if you're not comfortable praying out loud, then we need to know that. Please tell me that, and I'll help you through that. If you're not, if you're a part of a leadership team, but you're not confident in talking about your own testimony or how to share the gospel with somebody, or, present a lesson of some kind, then we need to know that, because we can't ever assume that people are just like, oh yeah, I follow Jesus, so I know how to do A, B, and C. So there's just a lot of learning that I hope to accomplish over the course of this year.
And what a cool growth opportunity to take them right here where it's safe.
Right.
And let them learn, let them get that practice and that experience. And who knows what that will grow into outside of college.
Yeah. Well, and again, any kind of leadership tool we give a student, or just planting a seed or watering a seed that's already been planted, and just trusting the Lord to do what he's going to do with it over the course of a lifetime.
Well, speaking of leadership, I got to come do my favorite thing last night and be with you all at Leadership Union, Student Edition. Fran heads up this group of student leaders all over the campus. Every group on campus, I guess, is represented.
Not every group, but this group, they're nominated by different staff and faculty on campus. So they were selected.
You could tell.
They were selected because somebody sees leadership skills in them that just need to be developed and cultivated. So you were the guest speaker last night. So I want you, Angela, I didn't bring my notebook with me, but you have a 5-point battle plan. And I want you, we don't have a ton of time left, but I want you to just hit them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just say as much as you can. But we may pick this back up on another episode, but it's so good for everybody. This will also be in the show notes too.
Yeah, we'll just go through this kind of quickly. And I told them last night, I wish I had more time to say more than 5 things that I wish I'd known at their ages, because I've learned everything on this list the hard way at one point or another in a 22-year career. But I just talked to them about how they are leaders, and that is a gift that God put in them. And we have an incredible responsibility ourselves to guard and protect our gift.
Yeah.
We do. We are the only people that can fully take responsibility for what the Lord has given us, and steward that well and use that influence for good. So, we talked about Luke 12:48 that says, with great calling comes great responsibility. And we really do have to guard and protect that gift of leadership. So the 5 things that I talked to them about are, number 1, be careful whose voice you listen to. I cannot tell you how many times I had somebody call me and say, you need to be on this board. I need you on this committee. And I would just say yes to everything because I felt like that was what was expected of me.
And it feels good to be asked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was important to somebody. But, I have my husband and I have Fran. And before I say yes to things, y'all are the two that I'm going to if I have a question or if I'm not 100% confident. And y'all do a really good job of reminding me, stay true to who you are. Is this God's will for you? But we have to let the Lord's voice be the loudest, be in the Word, just as often as possible. It doesn't have to be a full hour every morning or you're a total failure. I had a really all or nothing approach for the longest time. But
more meant like I'm a better Christian.
Yeah. Or if, I need to wait until I have 30 minutes.
True.
And then it would get crowded out. So when I wake up, before I get out of the bed, I have a sign on my wall that has one of my favorite verses. And that's how I can't not see it. It's right there. And just trying to keep truth just in front of me all the time. But be careful whose voice you listen to. I love this quote. The awareness of God's presence is the anxiety killer. We talk about anxiety often, and so much of the anxiety that we experience, at least for me, it came from getting outside of God's will, and I was in territory I never should have stepped into in the first place. So that was the first one. Number 2 is to reset your mind. We have got to focus. We've talked a lot on the podcast, we've talked about get out of your head, in Bible study with the volleyball team, about our thoughts and what are we thinking about, and how our brains are hardwired naturally to look for danger and negativity. And, 80% of our thoughts are negative and 90% of those are repetitive, on loop, all throughout the day. The same tired, worn out attack of a lie can just get played over and over and over, and we start making agreements with those things. So we have got to think about what we're thinking about, focus our minds. And again, for me, for all of us, it goes back to Scripture. What does God say?
Right.
Number one was, whose voice are you listening to? Who said that? We've got to reset our minds based on what we know to be true. So we talked about journaling. It was so sweet to hear from those students how many of them process their thoughts and connect the dots through journaling. I was really proud of that. And we had a great question from one of the students about, how do I keep my journal from becoming an idol of productivity? Right. That was a fabulous question.
It was.
So self-aware. But it goes back to the condition of your heart.
Right. What's my motive?
What is my motive? Am I trying to impress myself with all the things that I've done and look at how great I am? Or because of who I am in Christ, am I keeping myself structured and organized to get through my day? And then I love number 3. I've had to work at this, build in time for rest and time for play. Because the 2 commandments the Lord repeats the most often are warnings about idols and warnings about rest.
Yeah, that'll get your attention.
That will get your attention. We talked about the Sabbath and how the Jewish day begins at sunset, not in the morning. That has stuck with me because the Jewish day does not begin with jumping out of bed to rush around and see how many things I can produce and accomplish. But in the Jewish world, the first thing you do is go to bed and rest. And your identity is just a whole big part of that.
Right.
Who did God make me to be? It's not what I do, it's resting in Him. So that's the reminder that I need all the time. We talked about technology and just how social media has been so widely linked for all of us to anxiety and depression and information overload. I shared with them, and some of y'all may have seen me post this, but I shared on stories. It said, hey, sorry I missed your text. I'm processing a nonstop 24/7 onslaught of information with a brain designed to eat berries in a cave.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
We were not created for all the things that come at us as fast as they do, these constant inputs. So we have to make time for rest and we have to make time for play. And I think for those of us with a high capacity, it's real easy to go, you know what? I know it's Sunday and it's a day of rest, but I really need to get these things done and I feel fine and I'm just going to push through. But it's not optional.
Right.
It's a command. Regardless of how we feel, we need that. We talked about, and I think this was John Mark Comer's quote, but if you work with your mind, you should Sabbath with your hands. We keep saying we're going to plant things, Fran, and have a garden.
Happened. Here we are 100 years later.
And if you work with your hands, you should Sabbath with your mind. And then number 4, be humble and teachable. We talk about that one a lot. Humility is the byproduct of close proximity to Jesus. We just need to be close to Jesus. It's hard to avoid being humble. When, Philippians 2 that you read a couple of weeks ago, we're in that tonight in our Bible study with the volleyball team, and just not being impressed with ourselves and truly serving others. I know what I want and what's best for me and what I need. Right. But am I really making that second to what I believe is in your best?
Well, and what we think is best for me, I can immediately think, well, that must be the best for everybody.
Yes.
Like, I think this is best, but is it the best for everybody, or is it just a selfish, no, personally, I think this is best for me?
Yes. That's good. I mean, just thinking about these things, just getting outside of ourselves enough to say, well, what do I really think this looks like? Because it's easy for me to think about what's best for you as long as I'm not uncomfortable in the process.
Right.
Fran would love to have a chocolate milkshake. Make that too. That's easy. But again, those warnings about idols and rest, and when we start looking for security or meaning in anything other than God, that's idolatry. So when I start thinking, I'm all that because of what I've done and what I've accomplished and how smart I am and what degrees I have, and it's just very, very dangerous. We talked about mentors and not taking them for granted because you may have access to somebody older or younger right now that can offer you, I don't care how old they are. We learn from our college students all the time.
Every day.
Don't ever think that you can't learn from somebody younger than you.
Right.
But we also need to be very aware that people are with us sometimes for a season, and we don't need to miss the opportunity that God's given us to have conversations and make time for these relationships. We talked about our daily bread prayer, just to stay dependent. We talk about that a lot, you and I do. But there's just so many things that I've learned about not micromanaging. Part of me feels like I have to because my pace is so wild and my capacity is so high. But I also have to balance that with, just those feelings of I need to control this when I can't always control a lot of things, and just finding that balance. And it's hard. It's an ongoing process. But when we ask the Lord for daily bread, that reminds us, I'm not in charge. I'm not in control. My prayer is replacing my control with trust in Him, and only He can fulfill that desire. And we talked about Matthew 16:4 in the Message version. It says, anyone who intends to come with me has got to let me lead. You are not in the driver's seat. I am.
Okay.
That means a lot now that I have a driver who's a teenager and I'm in the passenger seat stomping on the floorboard trying to control the gas and the brake.
It's hard to be the passenger.
It's hard. And then the very last one was to avoid comparison. It's a lose-lose scenario. When we start comparing to other people, we either get proud and think I'm better than them, or we get really insecure and feel like we are less than. And God made each of us so different on purpose, by design. And that's the number one way to miss our purpose. If I'm busy trying to be you and not be me, who He created me to be, the world misses out. It's His plan and purpose. I've hijacked His plan to go try to imitate somebody else that He created.
Just be grateful for how He made you.
Yeah. And don't miss it.
Yeah, and celebrate that. And don't look side to side. We say that all the time.
We say it all the time. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus.
Well,
so that was a lot, but it was wonderful.
It was so good. It was so good.
Their questions were so good. Their feedback was so good. I wish we had more time with them.
I do too.
In a college world where, that was a day of class. Let's just sit around the table and talk about these things.
Well, I haven't followed, as we're recording this, I haven't followed up with them yet. I'm very strategic in when and how I reach out to them. Because if you're familiar with college students, you know that they use the platform GroupMe, and a lot of different organizations use GroupMe. But one time I asked a college student how many GroupMes they're in, over 20.
Oh.
So they've got those notifications, plus text messages, plus Snapchat, plus Instagram, plus email, plus all the things. And so I'm strategic on when and what I'm communicating to them. So I haven't figured out what's going to be my first follow-up. I sent them the group picture we made last night, but how am I going to follow up? Because there's so much rich stuff here. But anyway, it's just a blessing and a gift to be able to speak anything that we know into the life of someone else. And these just happen to be college students, and we love them. We're so thankful for them. They're the best.
We do. Philippians 2 that you read a few weeks ago, this is hanging on the door in the bathroom, it was on the Title IX sign.
Oh, what does it say? I should know. I'm on the committee.
2. I know, but I just thought, it's fun when the Lord has you sitting in a scripture and then you start noticing it everywhere. And I know I've walked past that sign every time we record. And never really noticed it until today. But it's such a great reminder. I think we could read this every time and it wouldn't be enough. But it's Christ's example of humility. He went first. He showed us exactly how to do this. But in Philippians 2, verse 3, it says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. And that's in verse 4. And it goes on to talk about the mind of Christ. And it's just so beautiful. And then a few verses later, in verse 14 of chapter 2 in Philippians, it says, do all things, and all means all things, without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent children of God, without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. It's just so beautiful in the world that we are in, with these students, that we were able to look them in the faces and pass the baton and say, y'all, God created you for this.
Yeah.
And this applies to every single person listening.
Yeah.
And if you're 100 years old listening and you're on this earth, you still have plan and purpose.
That's right.
Because the Lord hasn't called you home yet.
That's
so we've all got some work to do.
I love it.
Let's go get it.
I love it. I hope you all are encouraged today. We've laughed. Y'all know this is what we do. We start out ridiculous, and then we're going to go right in to the things of the Lord. It's what we do best. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Rambling Through Everyday Life with Fran and Angela. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to this week's show, you guys. If you are the parent of a high school student, or you are a high school student yourself, and you have questions about college or maybe even Union University, check out our website, uu.edu. And if you're past that point and you would love to apply to Union and not pay the application fee, I've got a fee waiver code for you. Are you ready for it? It's the word TALK, T-A-L-K, in all caps. Plug that in on the application and you don't have to pay the application fee. All right, you guys, thanks for listening. We love you so much. Have a great day.